Hi everyone, welcome to Smriti Special. I'm Smriti Iyer and we are at the art studio. Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious egg-free walnut spice cake. So let's get started. If you're new around here, let me catch you up. We are doing a series of YouTube videos on how to make different flavors of cakes with one base recipe. And that recipe is my vanilla butter cake. If you've not watched it, I'll leave a link for it in the description box below. Now let's talk about the ingredients for this recipe in comparison to the base recipe. So for this recipe, you're going to need some all-purpose flour, which is our dry ingredients. Along with that, we have all the spices going in. We have some cinnamon, nutmeg, star anise. We have some clove and some ginger powder. Now this is an interesting bit here. We are swapping out a little part of the sugar for some molasses, because molasses is a sugarcane product which comes from processing sugar, and this gives a really deep complex flavor to the cake. And then we have butter here. This is the only fat we are using instead of butter and cream cheese from the base recipe, because walnut cake kind of goes really well with butter. And then we have some milk, some walnuts, of course, use the best quality for the best flavor, and our leavening agents, which is our baking soda and baking powder, which does not change. I'm making my walnut spice cake today in a square 8-inch pan. You can make it in a 6-inch pan like all of our other recipes in this series, or you can make it in a round 8-inch pan. Okay. Now I have prepared this with some butter and flour before starting your procedure. As mentioned earlier, this is very important so that when your cake batter is ready, your pan is ready to go as well. If you're a beginner and you want to learn how to prepare your pans properly, go to my first video, which is the vanilla cake recipe, which I'm going to link it for you in the description, and watch that. I show you in detail how to prepare a pan. So you do that. Now you can use this as it is, or for square pans, what I like to do is to put a piece of parchment paper just on the bottom with the sides hanging like so, okay, so that you can lift your cake from this once it's done. To the milk here, I'm going to add some of my vanilla extract. This is vanilla extract that I made myself. I have a whole recipe video for this. I will link it for you in the description. Okay, just use good vanilla so that it really makes a difference. The taste is just uncomparable. And then make sure that your milk is warm. Okay, that really helps with the texture of the recipe. I have a large bowl here with a sieve. I'm going to sift together my all-purpose flour. Okay, along with this, some baking soda. Okay, baking powder. And since it's a walnut spice cake, we're going to add our spices. Some clove, powdered clove, some ginger powder, some cinnamon, and I have a combination of nutmeg and star anise, and we are going to sieve everything together so that there are no lumps in the dry mixture and the flour combines really well. By the way, the fragrance here is so strong. It's just, I know that this cake is going to be good. Today I'm making this cake in my stand mixer here, fitted with a paddle attachment. You can use a hand mixer, and I have the butter here, which is softened butter, something which can whip up. Don't use anything that is cold or too melty, because that's not going to give you a nice structure. And I'm going to add my powdered sugar. You can use some fine caster sugar. Along with this, I'm also going to add the molasses. Now, if you don't have molasses, I just love molasses, so I always have some in my pantry. If you don't have molasses, you can use brown sugar instead of using like white sugar and molasses. I'm gonna give you those substitutions in the written recipe, so don't worry about that, okay? But try molasses, guys, it's just amazing. Okay, now I'm gonna beat this up for about 2 minutes or so until it's nice and light and fluffy. All right, guys, this has been beating for about 2 minutes on high speed, medium to high speed, not the highest speed. Just in between, get in there with your spatula and give it a little clean down so that all of the bits of the butter and the sugar and the molasses gets combined. Now beating the butter mixture like this gives really nice texture to the final cake. If you don't do this, then your cake will be a little bit dense, which we don't want. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a mix just for about 15 seconds and then we'll proceed. Okay guys, now to this I'm going to add my dry ingredients. Now since I'm making a small cake, I'm adding it half at a time. Okay, and I'm going to alternate this with the milk. If you are making a bigger batch, you would do this in more batches than half, like you do it 3 or 4 times. Okay, so a little bit of the flour and some of that warm milk. Now I'm going to fold it gently at a very low speed. Okay guys, now I'm going to add the rest of the flour. The spices is just so amazing. It's going to be heaven. Okay. Then the rest of the milk. We do this on a low speed so that the gluten in the flour doesn't develop and the resulting mixture is not too tough. Okay. So don't crank up the speed. Do it on a low speed. If you're doing it by hand, do it very gently. Okay. Okay, this looks awesome. Now I'm going to give it a little mix by hand and then we're going to add our walnuts. I'm just giving it a little mix so that we get everything from the bottom. Okay, now to this we're going to add our walnuts. These are some roasted walnuts. Roasting walnuts are very simple. You're going to take your walnuts, put it in a dry skillet on a medium heat, just toast it, run your spatula through it so that it doesn't burn, and then just cool it down a little bit. And then you just take out a couple of pieces which look perfect to you for the topping and you chop the rest. You want your walnuts to be kind of roughly chopped, medium size. You don't want them to be too small. Okay, and now we're going to add it in there. It already smells amazing. Just fold it in. You can use other nuts with the same recipe, by the way, but just the walnuts with the spices, it's just so good. Okay, now we're ready to add it into our pan. Okay, now just adding the batter. Since it's a thick batter, just take an offset spatula or just a spoon or whatever you have and then smooth this out. Okay, because thick batters tend to have lumps in them if you don't smoothen it out before putting it into the oven. Okay, all right guys, that looks nice. And then we have some walnuts here which I'm going to place like so, because I'm going to cut this into 6 pieces. So I want to have 1 walnut per piece. You can put as many as you like. Now this is going to go in a preheated oven at 160 degrees Celsius. Now this is an 8-inch pan, so it's going to take lesser time than a few of the other cakes that we've done with the same batter, which we baked in a 6-inch pan. So this is going to take about 30 to 35 minutes. Just keep an eye on it. It might take a little bit lesser time or a little bit more time according to your oven. Once the skewer inserted comes out clean, that means your cake is done. So once it comes out of the oven, I'll show you what it looks like. Look at this cake, you guys. This came out at the 35-minute mark. I let it cool down a little bit in the pan for about 5 to 10 minutes. Then I took it out, and then this has been cooling for a couple of hours. And I just wanted to show you what the parchment helps with. So it has this overhang which helps you just get it out of the pan like so. Super easy. Now let's cut into this beauty. Now I am using a long serrated knife today. You can use any knife that you want. Make sure that it's nice and sharp. You can put some icing sugar on top just to finish it up, but I'm going to leave it like this today. So let's give it a cut. Oh, I can just feel the texture in the knife. It's just so beautiful. Now look at this slice, guys. I mean, the crumb is beautiful and it's sort of dark from the molasses and it smells amazing from all the spices in there. It's just a very nice warm cake on its own, and of course you can use it as a sponge with your frostings. You have to try this cake. So I have a little piece of this walnut spice cake here for me to try and describe it for you. So this in one mouthful, I shouldn't speak while eating. And ironically, I said that while eating. So, okay, so it's so complex on its own. It has all the spices coming through. Nothing is more, nothing is dominant. It's the combination of all the spices, which is so beautiful. And that molasses gives just a little bit of that deep, dark, kind of wintry notes to it, like a gingerbread cookie or something. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And of course, the walnuts, the better the quality of walnuts you use, the better your cake is going to be. I'll have the written recipe for this cake on my website. The link for that is given in the description box below. You have to make this cake. It's so simple and easy and it's so delicious. And whenever you do, share a picture with me on Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Don't forget to tag me so I can see your recreations. Like this video, comment on it. Your comments really help me decide what you want to see from me next. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more delicious recipes. I'll see you again next time. Bye.